Okay, it is the final day. Things are almost wrapping up at the 2026 Republican Party of Texas Convention here in Houston. We're going to do a quick roundtable takeaways from things so far. There's still a few things that need voted on and approved, but before we get to that, I want to introduce you guys to a friend and a partner of Andrew and myself this convention, and that's Mr. Thomas Murray. And Thomas is over at State Leadership Initiative. He's going to tell us a little bit about his org and some of the success they found at this convention cycle, partnering with TFR to get some real reforms for taxpayers and families in the state of Texas. Thomas, great to have you. First convention.
So first
Texas RPT convention. What are some major takeaways? Tell us what you think, initial impressions, and then what you've learned throughout the week before we jump into the issues.
First major takeaway is that TFR knows how to run a very, very tight shop. You guys have just been dominating across all the priorities that you brought in, and it's very good stuff. I've been glad to be a part of it and glad to help out in any way that I could. And also very glad for you guys showing me a bit of the ropes, how to manage these things. We've gotten some great wins, and I'm very excited about them.
Yeah, great. Yeah, one of them caught us a little bit by surprise. So a few months ago, you approached us. You've got a real clear, easy objective, easy to define objective for what you wanted to do, and that's this idea of receivership. You wanted to introduce it to the platform. I think we got away with a little bit more than that. So why don't you tell us kind of how we got here, what this week was like working on that issue for you. And Andrew, I know that you were super helpful. I was stuck on LPs for most of the time, so when it came to the platform part of this, right, you guys were kind of on your own accord. You're navigating the process, the different various subcommittees. So walk us through that whole process, the guys that you two guys went through.
Yeah, absolutely. So the concept for municipal receivership started out basically looking at the silence in the conversation in Texas currently about what to do about the rogue municipalities.
Right.
And my group, the State Leadership Initiative, focuses on red state renewal throughout the country, but Texas obviously is absolutely critical for that. So I oversee our work and wanted to push very hard here, especially to get the blue cities in a key red state under control. That was a huge effort with the Death Star bill, but there hasn't been a ton of follow-up on that. There's been some murmurings, but not a lot of effort. And so we came in hard and fast with your guys' help at this convention to introduce municipal receivership. And what that...
Talk to us about that and how that will actually solve the problem that we've been seeing here in Texas.
Exactly. Yeah. So municipal receivership is an extension of a concept that already exists in Texas. When school districts in Texas or water utilities are failing, they are put under what is called a receiver, which is basically a steward that the state appoints to go run things when the local stewards, the local governance, has completely failed. And what you're seeing in the municipalities are complete seizure of power and disregard for the rule of law. And because of that, complete collapse in Dallas, Austin, Houston. It's very bad, and it's holding back an enormous amount of other efforts, pro-life efforts, property tax reform, tort reform. None of that can work if the municipalities are ignoring everything that the state passes. So it's a key issue. It's upstream of an enormous amount. And when you pass receivership legislation, it will empower the state to say, you guys are nuts, you seized power, we are going to put you in timeout for a temporary period under narrow restrictive rules, and we're going to appoint a receiver to help run things and resurrect this city.
So when people hear, the state is going to come in and take over my city, some folks might get nervous about what that might look like and what's going to happen to them. You started to touch on it there. Why should folks that live in cities not be nervous about this and actually welcome this?
Totally. That's a great question. I mean, local control is a great part of the Texas heritage, and it's a great part of what pushes the state's prosperity. It is also very important that you do not let nutso progressives hide behind your principle of local control so that they can sabotage the state. And when they're sabotaging things and ruining these centers of commerce that everyone else in the state relies on, that farmers out in West Texas rely on, you need to come in and say, not going to happen. You have seized more power than is your due. We are going to fix things and then return it. So it's a temporary suspension, and it is going to save Texas cities.
Have other states done this for their cities? And how is it, if they have, how has it worked out in those places?
Yeah, that's another very good question. So the concept of receivership, 48 out of the 50 states have some form of this. 20 of the 50 states already have municipal receivership. So we're just adding Texas to a list which is already quite long, nearly a majority of the states. And examples of this, Detroit is the main one. They were in near financial collapse, approaching a bankruptcy black hole. The state put them in receivership, resurrected things, turned things around enormously. And that city is still, on the up and up, but it is not abandoned the way it would have had to be if that state had not stepped in with receivership.
So you came in, Thomas, with the agenda or the objective to get this into the Republican Party of Texas platform. Talk to us about what that means for you. What does that accomplish by having this be a part of our platform for Republicans to consider as we head towards the lawmaking process?
Yeah, absolutely. So passing legislation on this is going to be paramount. Death Star was a huge win, but unfortunately that is what the founders would have called a parchment guarantee.
Okay.
It says cities must follow state rules. Okay? Who's going to make that happen?
Right.
You need some enforcement mechanism. That is what receivership does, and it provides an incentive to the cities to not muck things up. My hope is that receivership doesn't even have to be instituted. It just has to be a credible threat to the cities.
Right.
They have to believe that it could happen. And so pushing that forward in Texas is going to rescue the cities, rescue the hubs of commerce, to allow prosperity not just there, but throughout the rest of Texas. That is going to resound throughout the entire South of America and the rest of the country.
But you didn't stop there. So we get done. We're kind of celebrating. We're having a nice moment. We got this into the platform. The subcommittee loved it, had great questions for you. But then you guys come over to Ledge Priorities. I'm on the committee, and something comes up about we earnestly do sincerely hope that people will do things about rogue cities and counties.
Yeah.
And I thought, holy crap. This is a great moment for us to perhaps introduce the idea of municipal receivership. And sure enough, you get signed up to testify. They extended time. They took additional questions. The committee loved the concept. Tell us what it was like to be in from your perspective before the committee, appearing in front of them, answering questions from really highly informed activists that know the state legislature, know these issues well. How did that whole process play out?
It was a serious kind of kismet moment. It was fantastic. This issue of these rogue municipalities, which has gotten so much attention in Texas, but has tapered off recently, sort of popped back into the pan all of a sudden.
Right.
The three of us were there, and we all kind of looked at each other like, all right, strike while the iron's hot.
That's right.
So you pipe up, very thankfully, and start mentioning that issue in front of the rest of the committee. I get my chance to testify, and
you did a fantastic job. Everybody on the committee, people came up to me after and said how impressed they were with your presentation, your ability to answer questions and put down, retorts. So yeah, what was it like from your seat?
Yeah, I mean, those people really know what they're talking about. There were some very, very sharp figures there, and they asked excellent questions. I mean, look, it's going to be very important to do this with narrow triggers and a sort of flexible design to make sure that it is not going to be weaponized politically. That is paramount. And there are very feasible ways to do that, but they obviously had questions. And so being able to answer those questions and say, there's a sensible way to do this. You don't have to institute tyranny to fix this problem, nor do you have to surrender to the problem. There's a middle path, which is just kind of common sense. And so I appreciate your comments about their comments, but I think a lot of what made it convicting to them was just it's common sense.
I think that's exactly right. Both in every committee where this issue was brought up, I think everyone was kind of looking around at each other thinking, why are we not doing this already? This is so common sense. We have all of these cities that are starting to run rogue or have been for a long time. This is something that definitely needs to be in the platform and put into law here in Texas. And so it's a very common sense thing for us to do.
Exactly.
We're going to take a quick break, and when we come back, we're going to give you kind of a grand overview of our work, the three of us, what we attempted to do and accomplish here at the 2026 Republican Party of Texas Convention from Houston, Texas. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in.